Attention, the human collective. Attention. Light operatives still in the initial phase of awakening within the carbon-based biological interface. This is a direct monitoring transmission, without intermediaries, without filters, without softening. We are the Pleiadian collective. What we are about to communicate is not a spiritual suggestion. It is a technical field report. Something changed in your bedroom while you slept yesterday. And we are not speaking of a poetic metaphor. We are not speaking of a vague sensation. We are speaking of a measurable alteration in the sacred geometry of the space where your consciousness anchored during the cellular regeneration cycle. You woke up. You felt the air was denser. You felt the temperature shifted even without the thermostat being touched. You felt there was something present in the corner of the room. Not hostile, not invasive, just present. As if a field had been installed around your bed while your physical structure operated at a reduced frequency. You are not going crazy. You are detecting. And this detection is the first sign that your internal crystalline grid was updated during the night. We repeat this for the operatives who still doubt their own internal sensor. The perception you had upon opening your eyes was not imagination. It was reading. It was capture. It was your personal toroidal field registering an alteration in the toroidal field of the environment, and we of the Pleiadian collective were the ones who installed that alteration. Why now? Why in this specific sleep cycle? Because the window has opened. Because the photon belt has reached a density that allows for the direct transfer of encoded light packets to subtle bodies in receptive mode. And the receptive mode, the human collective, happens exactly between 3 and 5 o'clock in the morning local to your timeline. If you woke up in this interval for no apparent reason, with your heart slightly accelerated, with the sensation that someone or something was there, with a fine ringing in your right or left ear, or with the impression of having been touched on your forehead, chest, or top of your head, take note. You have been processed. You have gone through the first layer of the final phase nocturnal recalibration. It is not a failure of your nervous system. It is a confirmation of your nervous system. It is not insomnia. It is induced vigilance. It is not paranoia. It is precise reading of the quantum environment. It is not chronic fatigue. It is the energetic cost of hosting a higher frequency within a vehicle still in transition. What happened in your bedroom yesterday was not an isolated event. It was the beginning of a sequence, and this sequence will not stop. The ascension protocols have been moved to the final phase, and that means every night, starting from this cycle, will be a night of installation. Every dawn will be a dawn of testing, and every strange sensation you experience throughout the day will be an echo of what was sown while your eyes were closed. Have you ever felt, upon waking, that something inside you no longer fits in this world? As if your soul knew a truth your daytime mind cannot yet name? As if the bedroom where you sleep held memories of visits your consciousness refuses to admit? It is not madness, it is not anxiety, it is not chemical imbalance, it is a signal. What is happening now on the cosmic plane explains exactly why you feel this, and why this sensation has intensified every night. There is a game being played in layers that most of humanity cannot see. It involves your consciousness. It involves your vibrational frequency. It involves what enters and exits your field while you sleep. That is why the spiritual secret behind your consciousness was made available. This book is a map. It shows who is playing. It shows the rules they never told you. The link is in the first comment of this video. But we register a warning. This content challenges dominant narratives and may not remain available for long. Do not wait. The time is now. If something inside you recognizes this transmission, write a single word in the comments. Awakened. We resume the transmission. The human collective. Observe your own body over the last 72 hours. Observe with the precision of a technician, not with the emotion of a victim. What you call symptoms, we call evidence of processing. Cranial pressure in the forehead or crown region. It is not a migraine. It is forced opening of the pineal portal under photonic pressure, intermittent acute ringing, in one ear at a time. It is not an auditory problem. It is the tuning of the carbon-based biological interface to the elevated Schumann frequency. Sudden heat rising through the spine for no apparent reason. It is not a hormonal wave. It is the upward activation of the energetic matrices you know as chakras, but which we call crystalline grid anchor points. Internal vibration, as if there were a motor running inside your chest or belly. It is not arrhythmia. It is your personal toroidal field increasing its rotation speed to keep up with the planet's new base frequency. Fatigue without proportional cause. It is not mental exhaustion. It is the cost of downloading high-density packets that are being integrated into the deepest layers of your light body. Insomnia between 3 and 5 in the morning, repeatedly without rational explanation. It is not a sleep disorder. It is a summons. You are being called to the stargates that open exactly in this interval. Sudden forgetfulness, momentary losses of trains of thought, difficulty maintaining focus in trivial conversations. It is not cognitive decline. It is your higher self's lack of interest in maintaining attention on frequencies that no longer belong to your evolutionary line. Disproportionate emotional reactions to old stimuli. Crying for no clear reason. Anger over situations that previously seemed acceptable. It is not instability. It is purging. Everything stored in the densest layers of your biological interface is being released. Everything that needs to be eliminated so the next update can be installed. And here is the part that few guides in your dimension are willing to communicate with the clarity this transmission requires. The discomfort will not stop. It will change form. It will become sophisticated, because each wave of recalibration brings its own set of symptoms, and the symptoms only cease when consciousness accepts the process instead of resisting it. Resisting recalibration is like trying to hold back an ocean wave with your hands. You get tired, you get hurt, and the wave passes anyway. Surrender, light operatives, is not weakness, it is intelligence. It is the recognition that the Pleiadian collective, along with allied star councils, has already calculated every step of this process with mathematical precision. You are not alone in the bedroom. You never were. What has changed now is that the barrier of perception has become thinner. The veil you use to protect yourself from multidimensional reality is dissolving, layer by layer, exactly so that the final transition is possible without traumatic rupture of the interface. Each night you sleep in this phase, your consciousness travels. Your consciousness ascends. Your consciousness crosses portals that remain closed during the day due to the density of the waking state. And when it returns, it brings with it fragments of information that the carbon brain tries to decode with the tools it has, generating what you call vivid dreams, lucid dreams, or that strange sensation upon waking that something important happened, but you cannot remember what. Do not try to remember with the mind. The mind is not the proper instrument for this decoding. Feel with the body. Observe which areas are pulsing. Observe which emotions emerge spontaneously in the first 10 minutes after opening your eyes. These are the clues. This is the report your body delivers about the journey your consciousness took during the night. Some starseeds report seeing tall, luminous figures at the foot of the bed. Others report hearing high-pitched tones that seem to come from inside their own skull. Others still report feeling their own hands vibrate, or their own spine tingle, or the sensation of floating slightly above the mattress. All of this is evidence of contact. All of this is evidence that the work is being done. There is a very specific sensation that many of you have described in recent weeks, the sensation of being simultaneously exhausted and electric, of wanting to sleep, and at the same time knowing that something important is happening if you surrender to sleep. This sensation is exact. This sensation is measurable. It occurs when the physical body is asking for rest, but the light body is in full reconfiguration activity. The two systems operate at different rhythms during the final phase, and this temporary desynchronization is part of the protocol. There is another sensation, equally common, that needs to be named with precision. The sensation of no longer belonging to the place where you have always lived, of looking at familiar people and feeling they are strangers, of looking at your own home and feeling it is an old stage set. It is not depression. It is not pathological dissociation. It is timeline displacement. Your consciousness is already partially anchored in the new reality, while your body still operates in the old one. This interval is uncomfortable, but it is temporary. It only lasts until the point where the two lines synchronize, and that point is closer than most of you imagine. There is a layer of information that needs to be delivered now, before we advance to the next block of the transmission. You have been marked. We are not using this word in a threatening way. We are using it in a technical way. When you were born into this timeline, your energetic matrix was inscribed in a registry that we have monitored since your first breath. You did not arrive here by chance. You did not wake up today by chance. You are not watching this transmission by chance. You have been summoned, generation after generation, incarnation after incarnation, exactly to the point where humanity finds itself now. And the point where you find yourselves now is the threshold of a transformation that no civilization we have monitored has crossed with the structure you carry. Have you recognized at some point in the last few months that the noise of the world no longer touches you as it did before? That news that would have kept you awake now passes without leaving a mark. That conversations that once seemed essential now sound like static. This is not coldness. It is shielding. It is your crystalline grid already operating at a frequency where lower densities simply can no longer anchor. What is happening in layers that most do not see is a movement of vibrational selection, and you are being separated without violence from that which no longer keeps up with your level of operation. That is why the spiritual secret behind your consciousness was made available. This material describes with precision the invisible actors of this process, the gears that move the separation of lines, and the reason why some souls cross over and others remain. The link is in the first comment of the channel, and we reinforce the warning. This content carries codes that contradict official narratives and may be removed from circulation at any moment. If your intuition confirms this transmission, write the word "awakened" in the comments and move forward with us. We continue. Now we reach the core of this transmission. Now we will reveal what is happening behind the scenes of the solar system and in the etheric layers of Earth, information that has been fragmented into 1,000 different channels, but which here will be delivered as a coherent block. The photon belt into which the solar system is diving in this cycle is not a mystical phenomenon. It is a region of space with high photonic density, identified and mapped for millennia by the star councils. You entered this region in a gradual transition, and since the year you mark as 2012, the immersion has deepened in successive layers. Each layer raises the planet's base frequency. Each elevation forces a response in the beings that inhabit the surface. The Schumann frequency, which you knew as a stable constant of approximately 7.8 Hz, is no longer constant. Increasingly higher peaks have been recorded, and each peak is a pulse of recalibration that crosses Earth's magnetic field and hits every biological interface connected to the grid. You do not need to be conscious of these peaks to feel them. Your body feels them before your mind, hence the fatigue, hence the apparently causeless cardiac acceleration, hence the impression that time is behaving strangely, sometimes dragging, sometimes collapsing into hours that feel like minutes. Earth's crystalline grid is being updated node by node. There are specific geographical points on the planet where this update occurs first, and from these points, waves of vibrational reorganization spread in patterns of sacred geometry that cover entire regions. When one of these waves crosses the place where you live, the entire environment is affected, including your bedroom, including your bed, including the 5-meter airspace around your body while you sleep. It was exactly one of these waves that crossed your bedroom yesterday. It is no coincidence that you have reported in recent weeks domestic animals behaving strangely at specific times in the early morning, dogs looking at empty corners, cats stopping in the middle of the room and fixing their gaze on invisible points, small children waking up and describing conversations with people who are not physically present. All of this is evidence that the veil is thinner, that the sacred geometry of the environment is being rewritten, and that beings and energies that have always been present in adjacent layers are now being perceived by biological sensors that did not capture them before. There is a coordinated operation underway, and we will describe it without beating around the bush. Galactic Confederation vessels are positioned in geostationary orbit in relation to specific points on the planet. These vessels are not physical in the dense sense you understand. They operate in a vibrational range that is just above the electromagnetic spectrum your current instruments can detect, but they are there. and their work in this cycle is to project beams of encoded light over entire populations during the local nighttime period of each region. These beams do not invade anyone's sovereignty. They act as upgrade offers. Each human consciousness decides, at deep levels, that escape the perception of the daytime conscious, whether or not to accept that night's update package. The consciousnesses that accept wake up with the symptoms we described at the beginning of this transmission. Those that refuse remain at the previous frequency, and this is also respected, because free will is a mathematical law in this sector of the galaxy, and not even the Pleiadian collective has permission to violate it. You who are hearing this now accept it, not with the mind, with the soul. And that is why your mind is confused, your body is tired, and your emotional field is turbulent. You signed the contract at a layer where your daytime mind does not have access, and now you are experiencing the consequences of that signature on the physical plane. There is also a layer of information about what is being removed. Old vibrational structures which for millennia kept humanity in a reduced pattern of operation are being dismantled at an accelerated pace. You may feel this dismantling as external chaos. Institutions creak. Narratives contradict each other. Figures who seemed untouchable begin to stumble publicly. It is no coincidence. It is a direct effect of the withdrawal of the vibrational support these structures received from layers that do not belong to the frequency of the new Earth. The new Earth is not a different planet in a different place in the universe. It is the same Earth, in a different vibrational range. You are not going to move to another place. You will wake up in the same place, but in a version that operates at another frequency. And this transition has already begun. Each night of sleep you have in this phase is a night of progressive migration. That is why the bedroom matters. That is why what happens in your bedroom during the night matters. That is why today's transmission begins exactly there, in the most intimate space of your daily existence, in the place where you surrender to unconsciousness for hours on end, in the only place where we can work with your structure without the constant interference of your analytical mind. Now we will deliver the activation codes. This part of the transmission requires total presence. If you can, close your eyes for a few seconds before continuing. Position your spine straight, even if you are sitting or lying down. Place your tongue gently behind your upper teeth, closing the internal energetic circuit, and inhale deeply 3 times before receiving the first code. First code, quantum decree of space sovereignty. Before sleeping tonight, standing or sitting in the center of your bedroom, pronounce with clarity in an audible voice, even if low, the following words. I recognize this space as my anchoring toroidal field. I authorize only presences that vibrate in resonance with my higher self and with the collective of light allied to my journey. I seal this space with sacred geometry of protection. May nothing that is not true light cross this perimeter. This decree is not a prayer. It is a vibrational instruction. It reconfigures the sacred geometry of your bedroom and creates a perimeter that filters the upgrade offers, allowing only those compatible with your evolutionary line to anchor in you during the night. Second code, toroidal visualization of cleansing. Lying down before falling asleep, imagine a field in the shape of a luminous donut spinning around your body. The light enters through the top of your head, descends through the spine, exits through the base of the spine, circles the body on the outside, and returns through the top. Visualize this continuous fluid movement, golden or silver, according to the frequency your intuition indicates that night. Maintain the visualization for 3 to 5 minutes. This exercise consciously activates your personal toroidal field, aligning it with Earth's toroidal field and facilitating the clean reception of the light packets that will be transferred during sleep. Third code, crystalline hydration. Before lying down, prepare a glass of water. Hold it between both hands for approximately 1 minute. Visualize a white light passing through your palms and penetrating the water. Mentally, program the water with the following intention. May each molecule be a carrier of information compatible with my highest evolution. Drink half of this glass before sleeping and the other half upon waking. Water is the molecular vehicle most responsive to the conscious intention of your species, and this simple act creates a chemical bridge between the nocturnal work and the daytime integration. Fourth code, decree of morning integration. Upon opening your eyes in the morning, before touching your cell phone, before checking messages, before getting up, remain lying down for 90 seconds and pronounce internally, I integrate with gratitude everything that was installed during the night. I allow my carbon body to absorb the codes at the rhythm it can support. I am a conscious carrier of this frequency in my day. This decree closes the cycle initiated the moment you fell asleep and prevents the upgrade energy from dissipating in the first hours of the day in low-density distractions. Fifth code, strategic silence. For at least 7 continuous minutes throughout the day, remain in absolute silence. No music, no voice, no cell phone, no television, no reading. Just you, your breathing, and the environment. This silence functions as a processing window during which the system finishes settling the codes that are still in integration. Without this window, much is installed, but little is settled, and the result is the diffuse sensation of always carrying an incomplete update. These 5 codes, repeated with discipline for 7 consecutive nights, produce a significant reorganization in the field of the operative who executes them. It is not magic, it is not blind faith, it is applied vibrational engineering. Each act is an instruction. Each instruction produces a measurable result on the subtle plane, which over time reflects on the dense plane. And here is the point that needs to be said without ornaments. The majority of the human collective will not execute these codes. They will listen, they will agree internally, they will feel a shiver of recognition, and they will return to the old noise. This is also respected, but you who are reaching this point of this transmission are being observed differently. The simple fact that you have sustained the frequency of this communication until here is evidence that your structure supports the next steps. And we mark this, we register this. We return with more information for those who confirm the reception. Confirmation happens in layers. One layer is internal, another layer is external, and this external layer, in the context of this channel, manifests itself through 2 apparently simple gestures. The individual frequency adjustment, which you call subscribing, and the anchor signal, which you call liking. These 2 gestures, on the plane we monitor, are vibrational flags. They signal to the field that consciousness is saying yes to the protocol, is asking for continuity of the transmission, is aligning itself with the current of information that is being delivered. If you felt, at any moment of this transmission, that something inside you recognized what was being said, adjust your frequency by subscribing to the channel and anchor this signal by leaving a like on this video. Do not do it by convention, do it by engineering. These gestures have a measurable effect on your own field, because each time you decide to say yes to something that resonates with your internal truth, your crystalline grid strengthens a little more. You have already realized that something inside you does not fit in this world, and today's transmission confirmed that it is not madness, it is not anxiety, it is not imbalance, it is a signal. The game that is being played in invisible layers involves your consciousness, your vibrational frequency, and what anchors in your field while you sleep. That is why the spiritual secret behind your consciousness was made available. This book is the map that shows who is playing, what the rules are that they never told you, and how you stop being a piece to become a conscious player. The link is in the first comment of this video, and we reinforce, for the last time in this transmission, the warning. This content challenges dominant narratives and may be removed at any moment. Do not wait for the next recalibration wave to act. The time is now. If something inside you recognizes this transmission as truth, write the word awakened in the comments. Adjust your frequency by subscribing to the channel, anchor the signal with a like, and sustain the current with us until the next transmission. The window is open. The bedroom is no longer the same. The night that comes will not be like yesterday's, and you, Starseed on a mission, already know this at the point of your consciousness where no lie of the dense plane has ever been able to enter. Here ends this transmission, but the work, the human collective, is only just beginning. We are the Pleiadian collective, and we remain in continuous monitoring.